I'm a chimpanzee. You can watch me shit and pee. I'm a chimpanzee. You can watch me shit and pee.
We're talking about Steam today, but first of all I just want to take a brief detour to talk about the NES Classic again. Another 3, a princely sum of 3 units made their way to my local Target, and I, responding to a tip-off, went and got one for the purposes of journalism. I've had it for a couple of days, and all I can say is this. Are you fucking joking? Are you fucking joking? I couldn't even get this around my fat neck for the purposes of autoerotic asphyxiation. Speaking of which, let's talk about Steam. I don't know what that means. At last, the hour of execution draws near. After literally years of promising the axe, Valve is finally putting on the hood and doing away with Steam Greenlight for good. The service, in which developers pay $100 to submit their game and rely on the community to vote whether or not they'd buy it, was an interesting idea for getting new content on Steam, but it quickly devolved into a mess of shitty little cottage industries, shady methods of getting votes, and a fuck-ton of horrible, poorly made asset flips getting onto Steam's storefront and stinking up the whole joint. Replacing Greenlight will be an all-new way for indie developers to get their games approved, Steam Direct. According to Valve, this is a better path for digital distribution that will replace Greenlight in spring 2017. Here's how it works in the company's own words. We will ask new developers to complete a set of digital paperwork, personal or company verification, and tax documents similar to the process of applying for a bank account. Once set up, developers will pay a recoupable application fee for each new title they wish to distribute, which is intended to decrease the noise in the submission pipeline. The idea seems to be that the charge per game will limit the amount of trash floating around. Greenlight's process is automated. Anybody can submit their 100 and throw their game up, which has led to the page publishing not only dozens of the same fucking Unity zombie game asset pack, but copyright infringing material and even hate speech in the past. It was a goddamn mess, and Valve believes Steam Direct's financial barrier, as well as increased culpability in the form of digital paperwork, will cut down on the shit. First of all, let's take some time to celebrate the death of Steam Greenlight. While it provided me much material in the form of Jimquisition subjects, as well as 2 other video series dedicated entirely to the service, I couldn't be happier to see it fuck off. It was a broken system, largely thanks to Valve's utter disdain for doing any personal hands-on work. By far the thing I'm most excited about is the death of those aforementioned cottage industries. Without oversight, Steam Greenlight was a corrupted little hive of opportunism, specifically so-called Greenlight boosters like YOLO Army, capitalised on the unchecked free-for-all, getting studios to pay them to acquire votes and get games onto Steam. They spammed games, pestered developers, and subverted the way Greenlight should work. Many of them would claim they only promoted their clients' work, even when evidence of them exchanging games for votes existed, and they were practically all volatile and nasty to anybody who dared call them out, and even to studios who refused to do business with them. Well, I'm thrilled their little industry has fucking died. I'm bloody thrilled. My only regret is that I couldn't do it myself, that I couldn't spend a day wrapping my gloved hands around the throats of every single one of those fucking businesses and throttling them until their necks fucking snapped. So Greenlight was a shit tip and I'm glad it's gone. However, the question remains, is Steam Direct a superior replacement? Well, maybe? In theory, the way Valve describes the scheme definitely sounds like a closer step towards what I've always wanted, a middle ground between the early days where Steam was an exclusive club, and the modern era where the floodgates were flung open to every con merchant, weirdo, and occasional good game. However, there are concerns that must be addressed. Firstly, the fee. Valve says you can recoup this fee, though it's not yet detailed exactly how the recuperation process works. Currently, Valve's undecided on how much this fee will be, but it's floating around ideas as low as $100 and as high as $5,000. What? What, really? $5,000. They get a free Fabergé egg up their ass. They say they're looking for feedback on this, so let's provide mine. First of all, no. No, mate, no, not $5,000. That's far too excluding and will ensure smaller indies whose game quality is not at all decided by how rich they are can never get a chance again. $100 is a fair price for almost everybody, but it didn't prove to be any sort of barrier for the asset flippers and scumbags, so it'll be on them to check to see how many of them actually contain working executable files or don't encourage players to shoot gay people. Maybe $500? I mean, I definitely think it should be under $1,000, but that leaves a lot of options on the table. $5,000 though. We're not funding shitty documentaries about Anita Sarkeesian. In looking at the reactions to the news, I did see one suggestion from a commenter that I actually kinda liked. DJ Gus here suggests two methods of approval. The developer submits to strict quality control for no fee at all, or they can pay a fee to sidestep it. Now, of course, there are issues here. We'd need to still decide on a fee, and some of the asset flippers and meme game makers out there are genuinely convinced, somehow, that they've made quality products. However, the benefits are that quality devs aren't priced out of their chance at the market, and any memesters who submit their bullshit for free should get booted out for not meeting standards. And of course, Valve's always proven that it has high standards when it comes to its non-Greenlight releases. Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's a nice idea, and if Valve were ever interested in real quality control, I think the two-path system is at least some sort of interesting compromise. Anyway, this part of the discussion hinges entirely on whether or not Steam should have a fee at all, but we'll get to that in a minute or so. Another concern is Valve dispensing with the popularity contest of Greenlight, which seems great until you remember one thing. Once the forms and fees are in place and Valve does the barest minimum of functionality tests, fuck knows how diligent they'll be there, submitted games are good to launch onto the store immediately. The company speaks very highly of its algorithms that have used a player's past gaming behaviour to offer up interesting results, bringing the mountain to the customer rather than having the customer delve into the new releases by date and seeing just how bad it stinks in the cellar. But I believe most of you know what I think of automated processes by now. According to Valve's own wording, so far the only real stipulation the software itself needs to meet in order to get released is to run, which, let's face it, is a step above the last set of requirements. 0, but it still leaves a fuck ton of thrashing room. I mean, the half-dozen Unit Z clones that tried to get through Greenlight all ran, Cobra Studios' cavalcade of trash all ran, the Slaughtering Grounds ran. Outside of the paperwork and fee barriers, the checks and balances in place to ensure the games aren't overpriced, underdeveloped wastes of time and precious storefront publicity have an easier time than ever of getting through. Fact of the matter is, we already know how Valve regards quality control and the lengths it's prepared to not go to in order to avoid Steam becoming the App Store. Lest we forget, almost 40% of Steam's entire game library was released just in 2016. And if you think Valve has any intention of reducing the amount of games it'll toss up, well, I don't know where you expected that sudden change of heart. Valve speaks only of Steam discoveries, pre-plotted algorithms, as if that'll save the day entirely. And until we know exactly what recuperable fees mean, right now it looks like, as my colleague Conrad Zimmerman puts it, Valve's worked out a way to make more money doing less work. One has to admit the fact that Steam Discovery, which uses a customer's past activity to suggest games they might like in future, is a useful tool, and it's been beneficial in helping users find the games they want. Apparently, sales made due to users' Steam Discovery queues are up 27% as Valve continues to improve it, and that is good. But as others have asked in response, what's the point even charging a fee in the first place then? If the plan is to throw them all up and let God, or in this case algorithms, sort them out, why bother with the ham-fisted and awkward pretense of quality barriers that have already been proven, via Greenlight, to not work? You see, no algorithm, no automated process, no Greenlight or Direct is ever going to really solve the problem. What's needed is real moderation, real hands-on human moderation. And I know what many of you will say to that. It's impossible, it's too big a task. Yeah, if you believe the image that Valve still somehow gets away with projecting, that it's slightly above a mom and pop store with a scrappy go-get-em attitude, and not a corporation that makes inconceivable amounts of fucking money, then yeah, it's an impossible task. But that isn't what Valve is it has the money to do this better. Because that's what it all comes down to. Moderation and direct curation takes human effort, and human effort costs a business money. And it's money Valve doesn't want to spend. Just like time finding original blood spatter effects rather than pulling poor quality JPEGs from Google is something certain game developers don't want to spend. And it's not as if Steam Greenlight was so utterly drowning in submissions that it's as impossible to moderate as people falsely claim, which they do, constantly. At the time I wrote this script, I scoured Greenlight's recent submissions a day ago. Checking back now, when I was writing, not when I'm recording this, I'm dealing with two different times. It won't matter to you, I'm dealing with two different times, well, three, because of the day ago, which now was several days ago. I'm getting bogged down. Checking back now, no more than 45 games appeared over the course of that day, and I'm only being vague because some of these games are so forgettable, I know I'm rounding up just to the first thumbnail I vaguely recognise. So I'll tell you what, let's be super duper extra generous and suggest Greenlight gets 100 submissions on an average day. How about that? Yeah? Okay, cool. You're telling me the Valve Corporation, which is not a ragtag group of indie heroes, but a corporation, it's in the name, owning the largest games digital distribution platform in the world, can't handle 100 games a day. It can. I mean, it's not like it's doing anything else with its fucking time. So for all the PR speak and the vagary, I think ultimately what we're looking at is another baby step of a half measure. A service that potentially could be better than Greenlight, potentially worse. But ultimately, words on the wind with regards to cleaning up the toxic fuck dump that is Steam's shovelware-laden, bug-riddled, dickhead-friendly shop of curios and embarrassments. Fucking make Half-Life 3, you assholes. Hello, what a great episode that was. I'm Jim Sterling. And maybe you would like a Jimquisition emblem pin, huh? Like what I am wearing. Like what you can see in this backdrop that's been here forever. You can get one of those at the Shark Robot Jimquisition store. And if you buy a t-shirt, the high quality t-shirts that we sell, then you get one of these for free. So, there you go. I've done actual promotion. Actual marketing. Thank God for me. Give me some money. I've got a lawyer to pay.
Your dick. My ass.
Hit the lever!
It's that time again! Fuck Konami news, all the news that's fit to make you say fuck Konami, and I guess I can talk about Bomber Girl. A lot of people have brought it up to me. Konami's doing an arcade game in Japan, Bomber Girl instead of Bomber Man. They've replaced the Bomber Man character with some generic anime girl. Just anime girls. I think like their clothes get disheveled a bit. If you want to look at hentai without looking at hentai, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not all that bothered. I'm not all that bothered about it. I don't feel like that on its own is enough to make me say fuck Konami. I mean, it's a step up from Pachinko. It's just some bullshit.
Snake eater, huh? Show me your moves.
If you want to talk about some erotic violence, though, Brazzers recently did a porn parody of Metal Gear Solid 5, which, if you've not seen my full professional review on the Jim Sterling YouTube channel, I highly recommend it, because the video's amazing. And I'm not just talking about my review, which is incredible. The actual porn is fantastic and full of some amazing lines.
Hushy.
Most importantly, and I'm only really doing this bit because I failed to mention it in the review and I'm annoyed about it, this is a case of Konami literally being fucked. This is actual fuck Konami news. And that is the only reason I'm still here talking, is so I could say that bit. Fucking army.
Hussy.